Well, good day to you. I've noted through the discussion posts over the last couple of weeks a lot of mention of candor and differentiation. Today I'd like to talk just briefly about the issue of candor. Difficult area, challenging for many in organizational life for obvious reasons. All of us have an emotional grid by which we hear truth and filter facts and information. And very often, if we are delivering hard truths or other people are delivering hard truths to us, their emotions are bound up in it, and so they communicate it in such a way that it sort of sets us off, or we set others off, or they begin to use their emotional filter to really glean through what we're saying. And they may get a greater sense of hurt as their ego takes a little hit, especially if it's somehow the bad news is related to something they did do or didn't do or forgot to do or whatever the case might be. So the issue when it comes to candor is that there's a lot of emotions tied up in this, and so we need to be cautious when we deliver news that's hard to hear. Jack refers to the issue of dignity, and he discusses it in a number of ways, but one way in which we need to think about delivering candor is in the sense of grace or in the sense of ensuring that a person's dignity remains intact. So it's not just about voice, but their dignity remains intact in what we're delivering. So we need to be looking for a way to deliver truth with love, if I can say it that way. So here's a truism. Truth without love is brutality, and love without truth is hypocrisy. So there's a truism, and in fact, if we think about that at all, we can see the various permutations that go through our minds and the way that can impact organizational life when, because we're trying to be nice to someone, we withhold the truth, and so we give them limited facts, limited information. We don't give them feedback. Maybe it's an employee that we're supposed to be correcting. Doesn't matter what it is, but all of a sudden what happens is they have limited information by which to make their decisions, and therefore they may continue to misperform or not perform, or they make bad decisions simply because they don't know any difference. And think about that in your own life. I have been challenged on occasion. I've been given a task to accomplish, and the boss tells me he's empowered me, but at the end of the day, they withhold, for instance, a piece of information, a vital piece of information, but something they thought was confidential and they should hold on to. And so I go down this trail, spending days, hours, weeks, months, spend the company's resources and time and effort and energy, and I come back with a recommendation. I say, this is the decision we need to make, and lo and behold, he says, no, we can't do that, and this is why. And boom, it's not that my boss is wrong. They're right. It's just that they never gave me a very key fact that would help shape my thinking as I did my investigative work or my analysis prior to coming with a recommendation. So we need to be sure that we provide candor. Let's look at this in the context of leading up and having candor up. Now, a boss has authority and power, and we've all been in that position where we've been at risk. So we want to be cautious. So the wisest thing we can do, I would say this, is to simply, when you know something's not quite right, and you want to be sure that you communicate the facts, look for the best moment. Don't look for a heated moment. Don't look for when others are in the room and it's not a good time. Go into your boss at some point, and I don't mean humbly as in, gee, I'm weak and I'm confused and I'm uncertain and that sort of thing, but I mean go in with humility. Be teachable in the sense that, gee, sir, I have something I want to share with you. I may have limited facts, but based upon what I do know, this is what I think is going on, or this is what I think is going to happen, or this is what the truth is. That's the attitude you want to go into this conversation with. To precipitate the conversation, knock on the door. Gee, sir, do you mind? Do you have a moment? I've got something I want to share with you, but at first I want to see if you're okay with me sharing it with you. It's something you may not want to hear. Do I have your permission? So ask permission for sharing. Go in teachable. If you get permission, and more than likely, I don't know a boss who wouldn't give you permission, if they give you permission to share, then please do share liberally. Provide the facts as unemotionally as you can. State them clearly. Bring the facts with you. If all goes well, be sure you seek the opportunity to let your boss know you appreciate their time. And in the future, if you have further facts that you might need to share that they ought to hear, are they open to you sharing it? And if they say yes, and they likely would, then ask them for how they would like you or when they would like you to share it. There could be a time of day. There could be a certain place. There could be a time to invite them at the lunch. There may even be a signal that he wants you to give him in a public situation, so you don't blurt it out in a crowded room and the person feels blindsided. So you want to ask permission of these things. You want to have grace. You want to speak truth with love. You want to be sure that the message is heard. So at the end, you might qualify with your boss. Can you share with me your thoughts upon what I just shared with you? How does that change anything, if at all? How does that change our relationship, if at all? I want to be sure and reinforce that you want to be sure that they know that you're always at their back. And by the way, should they share any confidential information with you that you weren't privy to before, but now you need because of the information that you've been communicating back and forth, then you be sure that you reinforce that this information, as far as you know, is confidential, and that, that you're not going to violate that trust. Key issue with all bosses is that they know that you're not going to violate the trust. Now, let's think in terms of laterally, so we don't go on and on and on with this message, but let's think in terms of laterally. Really not much changes. People, you don't have any power over them, they don't have any power over you. It's probably more collegial in terms of working relationship, or they may have functional positions that they have equal authority or power, but over a different set of people. Doesn't matter what it is. You're going to approach them in the same fashion. They have no reason to listen to you unless they're forced to, or unless they're willing to hear it. And as my mama used to say, a man convinced against his will is unconvinced still. And that is another truism. If you're trying to convince someone, it doesn't matter the facts, it doesn't matter how many times you prove it or how well you prove it. At the end of the day, if their heart is convinced that they're right and you're wrong, you need to understand that no matter what you say, you're not going to change their heart. So you have to approach them in a winsome way, in a way that they see themselves as winners, and that you demonstrate that you think they're a winner too. All right? So let's go to a third scenario. So we're talking about followers. Now, this is the way that Jack would say you need to always exercise candor. So if you invite people to be candid with you, by George, you need to make sure that you lay the ground rules for people so they understand that they can do it. You give them permission. Then since you're creating a culture within your subordinates or followers, you want to be sure that you reward those people who take the risk of sharing truth with power, because you're the person with power and you can hurt them and they know it. So if they take that risk, you need to let them know that they're heroes, that that's exactly what you need, because that gets all brains in the game, so to speak. And then as you have opportunity with others, and you sort of have this groundswell of people willing to take risks and willing to share truth that's hard to hear, you may need to even create some norms and rules within your own set of followers, so that they come to understand that this is the way work is done. This is the way things should be. And in fact, if they're not this way, then they're likely going to create some problems within the organization. So publicly, you need to make statements. These are not just things that need to be said privately. Even some education, even having them read Jack's book, Winning, even having them attend a certificate course that we have that's sort of like a course with this EMBA program, where they just attend for leadership principles, and no grade and no tuition fee at the kind of level that pays for an MBA. But they may want to participate in that kind of leadership training, whether it be here or anywhere. So you be sure you create a culture where the norms are clear, that you have processes in place to reward people that do what they're supposed to do, and so that, frankly, at the end of the day, their dignity is intact and that you all benefit. Now, this isn't so complicated, and I'm sure, based upon this video, I'm going to raise some questions, because this 9-minute video isn't going to solve all the problems related to something as challenging as candor. So, this is what I want you to do. You watch this video, you acknowledge that you watched this video, and then you weave this video and some of the things that I've said into the discussion we have over the next coming weeks of this course. And let's see what we can come to in terms of sharing about being candid, up, laterally, and then down chain. And certainly, if you want, ask me direct questions, and I will provide feedback within those discussion threads. Okay? So, again, great to have you in the course. Glad you're here. Hope you enjoyed this brief video. And I'm out on my deck, so you can see some trees in the background. I just saw a change in pace now that we've finally got some warm weather here in Kentucky. And I hope you're having the same. Okay? So I'll see you in the classroom. Bye-bye.